Before I create classes, I would like to first explain what this code is doing. I have a button here on a click of which I'm calling a JavaScript function, which is defined in this index.js file. And whenever this function is called, I'm assigning hello to my demo1 paragraph, which is right next to my button here. So if I click on submit, it's going to print hello on my page. But instead of printing hello, I would like to print property values of an object of a class that we're going to create. We are going to create class for students and then create objects for multiple students and then assign the property values to our demo1 paragraph. To create a class, I'm going to use class keyword and then I'm going to need to name my class. You should start the name of the class with an uppercase letter. That's the convention all the JavaScript developers follow. So I'm going to name my student class like this. Then I'm going to use curly braces to open and close its code block in which I'm going to define its properties and functions. Whenever an object of a class is created, a special method is called as constructor. Constructor can take parameters and assign those parameters to properties of the current object. Let's define that constructor. For that, I'm going to say constructor and open close parenthesis in which I'm going to pass parameters for the properties. Students has 4 properties: first name, last name, age, and grades. So I'm gonna write first name, last name, age, and grades. Now these parameters will be passed from the calling method. Now we'll have to assign these parameters to the current properties of the object. To do that, I'm going to use this keyword. I'm going to say this dot first name is going to be first name. That means the calling method, which is creating an object of student, is going to pass first name, which will get assigned to the current property of the object. Let's do the same thing for last name, age, and grades. For that, I'm going to say this last name is equal to last name, age, this dot age is equal to age, and this dot grades is equal to grades. Now I have a class student with 4 properties: first name, last name, age, and grades. Let's go ahead and create its object. For that, I'm going to go to my submit function here and create an object. For that, I'm going to use let keyword, and then I'm going to name my object as student1 and then use a new keyword to create the object. To create the object, I'm gonna call its constructor by saying student, open and close parenthesis. And in this constructor, we can pass parameters like first name, last name, age, and grades. I want to create a student named John Smith. For that, I'm gonna say the first name is going to be John. The last name is going to be Smith. Age is going to be 20. And John Smith gets grade like B. John Smith is a bad student. And now we have created an object, student1, using class student, and that object is for John Smith student. You can also create multiple objects using your class. Let's say if I want to create student2, so I'm going to say let student2 is gonna be another student, and this time I'm not going to pass the parameters. I am going to call the default constructor, which does not take any parameters. And to assign the values to the properties, I'm going to use student object, and I'm gonna press dot here, which will give me the list of properties of student class. Here I'm gonna set first name as Jane, and then I'm gonna set the last name as Doe, the age is gonna be 20, and the grades are going to be much better than John Smith. Now we have created two objects using student class. One object is for John Smith, and another object is for Jane Doe. Now if I want to print property values of John, I can use the student object. Instead of hello, I'm going to say student1 dot, and if I press dot, it's going to list down all the properties of the object. So I'm going to press first name here, and now if I refresh the page and click on submit, it's going to print John. If I change this to student2 and then refresh the page and click on submit, that's going to print Jane. So this is how you can create objects of your class. In the next section, I'm going to talk about how you can define functions and use them.